Welcome to the Fort Collins Fellows podcast. From Colorado State University to New Belgium Brewery and the hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails, Fort Collins has earned its well-deserved reputation as one of the top places to live in the United States. Your hosts, Patrick and Chris, were born and raised in Fort Collins. Patrick owns and runs Soukup Real Estate Services, a top-rated real estate brokerage company here in Fort Collins. Chris is the co-owner of the Murphy Whitlock Group, a top-rated residential mortgage broker based out of Fort Collins. Now join the fellas as they uncover the stories, places, and people that make Fort Collins so exceptional.
Alrighty, so if you are living in northern Colorado, you've probably driven up and down the I-25 corridor, or maybe you jumped on a bus down to Denver. We've got a gentleman here with us today. He's going to talk to us a little bit more about that. Mr. Jim Kelly, appreciate you jumping on here today. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about yourself and who you are and where you came from?
Sure. Like you said, Jim Kelly. I've been in Fort Collins since 95. Came in from the DC corridor. I'm a business guy, entrepreneur, started a couple of technology companies back in the DC area in generically what you'd call electronic communications work, and sold those companies in 2015 and 16, and lived here with my beautiful wife, Betsy Markey, and my 3 children, who are now grown and have kids of their own. It got involved in the political life back in DC and here, and subsequently became familiar and friendly with the governor. And last year, the governor asked me if I would take over a position at the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT Commission Board of Commissioners, excuse me. There's 11 of us around the state, and we basically oversee the Colorado Department of Transportation's budget, direction, things like that. So large projects and top staff and what's happening going forward.
Jim, you're a lot of people's best friend. And I was just going to say, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have questions for you overseeing CDOT and all the construction on I-25 over the last couple of years. So you probably have many friends and foe along the way, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Luckily, mainly it's been friends.
Okay.
So I avoided all that construction on the north side. And my term really just started last summer, and then everything opened up and everybody loved me.
Yeah. So you're kind of the darling of the ball. It's
and the people
going.
There's Kathy. There was several people before me that really worked hard at that and deserve a ton of credit. I don't deserve any credit, so I'm fine with that.
Well, talk to us a little bit about, obviously this is a channel about Fort Collins, northern Colorado, and I know we're going to dive into both, kind of Bustang, possibly a passenger, railway system, as well as I-25. How did I-25 play into the economy of northern Colorado and Denver? How important is that for northern Colorado?
Well, it's huge. I mean, and the opening of the northern component of I-25 really made it so much easier for transportation down into Denver. But it's the main heart of Colorado, really, other than 70 going up through for tourists up to the mountain. But business-wise, it was a critical thing. I don't know how long you guys been here, but traffic was
born and raised, Patrick and I right here. I was
okay,
19,
so traffic was miserable for a considerable period of time, and the population here is just scheduled to explode. It has exploded, and it's just going to continue. So, and it's not just cars, going up and down 25, really the transportation planners, your governor, have looked towards the future to say, how do we move people back and forth from Denver all the way down to Colorado Springs? And that's why, we'll talk about a little bit of multimodal transportation, so where you can take a bus to a train and a train down to Colorado Springs, etc. And being able to do that is going to be critical to business needs up here.
Hey, Jim, just a real question as we just get started. And I get this. I ask this question a lot of people, obviously the new I-25 that they just completed and it looks great. What was the reason for the toll lane instead of just making it all open? Was there, I'm sure there was a reason behind that, but do you know anything about that when that decision was made?
I know that it was, there was a lot of back and forth, on that.
Yeah.
The toll lanes have done extremely well down south.
Okay.
In other words, they've generated a lot of revenue. They have kept traffic, moving. So I know that there's the usage has been unstoppable.
Okay.
And I think, if you're using it now, if you go down now, they're free, obviously.
Right. Yeah. You can jump in there and no problem.
But they're going to, you can go down right now and have a clear ride right down, and really, other than some people being a little bit heavy on the foot in those lanes at the moment, you can get down to Denver in a hop, skip, and a jump through there.
And what I think Patrick, while he's getting his camera set up there, what is the timeline now? I read that there was a delay, and it's actually just they're waiting for certain sort of sensors or things like that need to be installed in order for that that express lane to be activated. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's probably going to end up being at the beginning of 25. It could be a little bit later even.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I read something was like fall. Okay.
Yeah, there's technology that needs to be put in, and apparently there's some delays from the contractor, which has made it free for us.
Yeah.
Now, once that technology goes in, and it hasn't been too bad from what we've seen right now, but when you're in the lane, you can't go across the double wide,
right?
And you can't go into it on the double wide. If you do that down south, you're going to get a big ticket. And when they first put that technology in, there were thousands of people violating it, and it was accident heaven. Or hell. So people up here should keep that in mind when it does open up and the technology is there. There'll be warnings that say you're going to get a big ticket if you cross those lines.
And you're not getting pulled over, you're saying. You're going to get they're going to take a picture of you crossing that double yellow, and that's how you're going to get nailed?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And it dropped precipitously over time.
Yeah, I would bet.
The number of people doing that.
Well, on I-70, heading either way, really, that shoulder and that lane is so narrow. It gives me anxiety when I'm taking that toll. Like, I'm like, just please, nobody, veer in, because you're going 60 while, the other lanes are stopped. It could absolutely be very dangerous.
Yeah, no, you got to be careful. Now here, they did a smart thing in that lane is wide.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And the shoulder's wide and the striping's wide, and you feel really safe going down there. Now, like I said, there's people are speeding down that way, and if you're going, some people might go 80 normally down that lane, and then there's people right up their tail. The legislature passed a law recently, and it's a long way from being implemented, but that CDOT is going to have to start looking at automated speeding violations. Now, whether that's going to happen up here, whether it's going to happen in that lane, I really don't know, but people will slow up.
Well, I felt that exact way. I was like, this is an express toll lane. It doesn't mean it's a speedway, because I was going 80. And I was like, there's a guy just completely on me and just getting angry. And I'm like, dude, I'm going 80 miles an hour. Like, get off me. That was wild.
Yeah. I might be in the same boat as you.
Jim, what is I got a good story on tolls real fast. I was heading up I-70 with a team retreat. And I saw $16 per toll. Now, I know that Fort Collins is not going to be anything near that, but it was kind of near the Breckenridge area. And I was like, who in their right mind would pay $16 a toll? And I'm coming back home, and it's bumper to bumper traffic. And I couldn't have gotten into that toll lane faster to get my ass home. I was like, there's no way I'm sitting in traffic for a couple hours when I can just take this empty toll lane and pay a few bucks.
Yeah. No, I mean, not to be cynical, but we have a system in Colorado where you can't improve revenue, taxes, unless you get approval, right?
Yep.
But that's a good way to do that. That's not. I got you. Okay.
I didn't say that. You said that.
I got you.
Jim, we're picking up what you're laying down.
Well,
but I would know it makes sense.
If you're not taking your car and you want to decide what kind of other options you have, talk to us a little bit about this really cool amenity that we have in Fort Collins. That I know actually a few people that use it, but talk to us a little bit more about what Bustang is from Fort Collins to Denver and beyond.
So Bustang picks up at the Civic Center in Fort Collins. There's a bunch of routes, by the way. There's ones from Greeley. There's ones that there's a Snow Stang that goes up into the mountains. All right. But from here, you go to the Civic Center or you go to the Harmony Park and Ride. All right. And it's existed for years. Before the pandemic, it was really rocking and rolling, and then people stopped taking public transportation during the pandemic. It's built back up, and basically you get on a bus. A regular ticket all the way down to Denver is $10. Okay,
nothing.
I take it whenever I can. I have a son who's a lawyer who lives in Fort Collins, and his firm is in Denver, downtown Denver. And he takes it, every week he takes it. Luckily, he just goes there and comes back. But $10 down, you get on. It's a really nice bus. It's really comfortable.
It's got Wi-Fi, yeah.
What's that?
It's got Wi-Fi, doesn't it?
It's got free Wi-Fi. So you sit on the bus, it's air conditioned, it's shaded, it's not, it's populated, but it's not overcrowded. The seats are incredibly comfortable. They have brand spanking new buses. Man, you sit there and do your work as you're going down, or you play a game, or you talk to your mother on FaceTime, and $10. A senior is $7.50 and a kid's $5.
Wow.
And you can buy 10 packs, 20 packs, and get the price reduced. Over the next few years, they're just increasing the number of routes. Most of the routes are in the morning and the late afternoon, but they're increasing the number of routes regularly. And it's really sweet for going down to Denver.
I saw that pickup new spot, or maybe it's not new, but kind of not near the Longmont area with the, or maybe it's Loveland.
I think it's Loveland. Yeah, I think I got it right here. Yep.
Yeah, and it's it was with part of that new expansion of I-25, but I was like, what is that? And then I And then they finally put up the Bustang kind of logo. I was like, oh, it's a Bustang stop. Okay.
Well, so it's really more than a Bustang stop. It's a long-term plan. It's multimodal transportation is, cars to buses, buses to trains, trains to, whatever, multimodal ways of moving around. Across from, so right now the Bustang goes down 25. Those the Berthoud one just opened up, and the Loveland one is going to open up soon. Basically, it cuts 10 minutes off of the Bustang route because they just zip over to the left lane. There's a underground tunnel that goes to a parking area on the other side, on the west side, being the multimodal transportation centers. All right. So you could be down in Loveland and go, oh, okay, I'm going to go to Denver. You could hop on the local bus, jump off there, go under the tunnel, get on the Bustang, go down to Denver. Hell, you could go up to, from there up to Vail. Or you could drive your car, park it over there, and again, jump on the Bustang. So there's 2 of those pull-offs, and there's going to be 2 areas there on 25 that have that type of facility. There's more that'll happen up in Greeley, so up 34, and those are kinds of things you'll see in the future to, reduce traffic, cut greenhouse gases, hope maybe affect our smog and things like that. So, okay, but yeah, they're multimodal transportation centers and fast route for Bustang.
Do you see that making a decent impact, or like you said, the big thing is getting that ridership up? Fort Collins Transport, they're focused on the same thing. The ridership's down. They're trying to get it back up. And what type of impact, or is it going to be kind of a cumulative effort between buses and, let's chat about maybe the Front Range rail system, cars, ride shares? Is it kind of an all-encompassing picture to get these goals accomplished?
Yeah, the people that are in charge, from from the federal perspective, a lot of money has been available the last 4 years for infrastructure projects and greenhouse gas reduction at the state, at the governor's office, and then in CDOT leadership. They don't look 1, 2, 3, 4. They look 25 years down the road. Because if you don't do those things, if you don't plan that stuff now, the next thing you know, there's housing things mishmashed everywhere and you can't put the stuff in. So it is a change of mindset, no doubt, from people, oh, I can take a bus. I don't have to jump on a car and deal with, traffic jams and crashes and such and such. I don't have to spend as much money. So, but it's a change of mindset. But yeah, the long-term plan is really a network, that gives people options and serves, underserved communities. So, I was in Greeley yesterday, right outside a giant, housing complex that is really affordable housing. And it's cheaper, if I need to get to Fort Collins to be able to walk across the street under a tunnel so I don't have to cross a road. Safety is a whole hell of a lot better. And then I take a bus down. Now it's a change of, U.S. mindset, right? I guess, have you guys ever been overseas?
Jim,
right.
You bring up a nice little transition. So you've been here since 95. Born and raised here in 1980. I've been to Europe plenty. And if my dad were on this podcast right now, he would have been pounding the table about light rail up and down the Front Range for a long time. And not to maybe to push back a little bit, but you talk about how they're trying to plan for the next 20, 25 years and what that looks like, because you got to put in the infrastructure or plan now so you can put it in later. Do you feel like Colorado was a little behind maybe in some of that scheduling and planning? And if they would have started this back in the mid 90s, we would have already had a high speed rail. The Front Range is perfect for it. And I think you were just getting ready to talk about it, and I'll let you take it from here. But man, and I know we were going to talk the Front Range passenger rail, and maybe we get into that right now. But maybe they missed the boat a little bit, and it sounds like the conversation's going. But boy, Colorado is like the ideal situation for a passenger rail train right up and down the Front Range.
Yep. No,
Thoughts?
Yeah, of course. Now. Sure. If it had been there and the money was there, then it would have been great to run a line right down 25, and I bet you, we wouldn't be dealing with a Bustang even, right? But hey, when you come into the office, you're dealing with what you got, right?
Right. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would have loved it. I was in Portugal last year, and
love Portugal. I went there for my honeymoon, so I know. Yeah,
it's really nice. So we were up north, coming down to the beaches. It's going right through towns, and kids are jumping on, and it's just a regular thing. Now, like I said, unfortunately, you're dealing with what you got from an infrastructure perspective,
right?
And going down 25 was now impossible. So, they looked at and they're studying right now, how do you get a train from Denver all the way up to Fort Collins? Well, there's existing freight lines.
Okay.
Advantages being, okay, we could, for X amount of dollars, we could get a train. It's not going to go 150 miles an hour because it's got to go, directly through the routes that exist, but it would be X plus X plus X plus Y, to try to run a train straight up. You're right. No, your father's right. I'm sure, before I was on the Transportation Commission, I was probably screaming and yelling too about it. But yeah, the plan now, is to run intercity train service over freight lines from Denver to Fort Collins, and then down south. Now, in order to do that, they have to work with the freight companies and get deals in place, business in place. They're right now and it's been in place. They've done some surveying of population. They're doing a service plan so that they can look at and say, where's the most logical places for stations? What crossroads are we dealing with? What do we have to put in place to make it work? But I can tell you that it is something that the administration really wants to get underway in a strong manner, is committed to it. Now, it's probably going to take, if you go to Front Range Passenger Rail, if you search for Front Range Passenger Rail, their website will come up, and trying to think of what the heck is the name of it. And let me grab that actually.
Let's see if I can find it too.
Yeah, it's ridethefrontrange.com. Ride the Front Range.
Oh, I got it right here. Gotcha. Yeah.
And they're, if push comes, if you are getting asked, and you're at Front Range Passenger Rail, how long is this going to take? And can I get your firstborn male child if you don't meet that deadline?
Are you saying people are unrealistic, Jim?
No, people are protective.
Yeah.
They don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So I think it probably says 10 to 15 years before trains come in here. There's more pressure than that time frame to get it done.
Get it done sooner?
Yeah, I would think.
That's amazing.
There's pressure to do that. Put it that way.
Yeah. What would be a potential for how many passengers this train could hold and transport down to Denver if that information's even available. Are we talking, 100? Are we like a day? Are we talking 1,000? Are we talking, what type of numbers do we think this rail system would potentially serve?
So I'm not qualified to answer that. They are doing a transportation study that will do things like identify what's the potential ridership, what might the cost be, where the stops would be, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to get answered. I can tell you that there's just money there. So what they did was, there was a bipartisan infrastructure bill, and there was a lot from the feds that allotted quite a bit of money to rail. So you could, as a state, put together a plan, go to the Fed and say, here's my plan, and get money allocated. We've gotten some money allocated in order to do these studies to see exactly what might happen, where things could go, what the costs are going to be, et cetera. But you don't know all those, you don't know all those answers yet. There's also been the legislature passed a bill taxing car rentals. So I think it's $3 whenever there's a car rental that is going to go towards passenger rail, funding passenger rail. So they're building up, and there's some other mechanisms for funding passenger rail that have been put in play.
Yeah, the map, Patrick, I got right here on the ridethefrontrange.com. They've got it all mapped out. Fort Collins, Levelland, Longmont, Boulder. It looks like the route would be along the mountains, the Front Range, and then it would cut into Denver, South Metro, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo, with future connections to Trinidad and New Mexico, and then from Fort Collins, future connections to Wyoming. So, yeah, the website's great. And then the why, they have about 5 million people currently live on the Front Range. In the next 30 years, an additional 3 million people are expected to live and commute along the Front Range. So this is the website's why they're doing this, and then the when, the 10, 15 years. So real interesting website, Jim.
Well, yeah, I think it's useful. Now, it's also, I could see after the study that things change.
Right.
Maybe there's a stop here, maybe there's none there, maybe whatever. So,
do you feel this is a pipe dream, or do you feel like this is a relative certain reality for people along the Front Range sometime in the future?
Well, unless somebody comes along, in a future administration and decides to derail it, then no, I know that the governor's committed to getting this done. CDOT and the other players are there. The money sources have been worked on over the past year and change. So it's just moving along in the right direction. It's going to take time, but at this point, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked the idea of the governor being having a homebody feel for Fort Collins, because I'm like, Fort Collins is gonna just be right in that mindset of like he's gonna keep Fort Collins in its mind's eye of let's make sure it goes from Fort Collins to Denver first rather than Colorado Springs to Denver. You know what I'm saying?
No comment.
No comment. All right. Well,
Jim,
so there's a last 9-mile stretch going on right now. I believe it's a 9-mile stretch.
Yeah.
From Berthoud to Meade, and that's going to make Fort Collins to Denver 3 lanes the entire width, and that's projected to start, I think, in 2025 and finish up in 2029.
Those are starting right now, aren't they?
No, it's already underway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it should just take 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
Oh man, talk about just like it does. You can feel that bottleneck when you get to that lane mile stretch. And then it opens up. It's like the seas part.
And one of the big focuses of the governor's office and CDOT in general, what I've seen over this year, every month, it's safety. So that will reduce crashes going down that way and all. So I believe it's a 5-mile stretch from Berthoud to Milliken. But yeah, no, it's heavy duty underway. And, if there's going to be any major closures or anything, there's public notices that go out, if they have to, there's new bridges that have to be put in and things. So, but it'll be under construction for approximately 2 years.
Yeah, right now the way it looks is you can almost drive right down through Denver, and all the work is being done in the middle of the freeway. So it doesn't seem like it's interrupting the flow of traffic as much as, when they were working on the northern section.
Yeah, it's smaller. And eventually,
Sure.
what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to route you across this way and that, to do different things. But right now it's pretty straightforward.
Jim, so you just got on the board, you said about a year, 2023. So about last year.
Yeah.
What I know we talked about the passenger rail, and that's obviously, maybe a decade out. What conversations are you guys having in your meetings right now for the near to medium term future? Obviously, we talked about I-25, but is there other conversations about to Greeley and, as if things continue to grow and build further east? What are those conversations like? And what are you guys currently talking about that maybe we don't know about right now that is in the works?
There's a wide variety of projects, small to medium sized projects, but, CDOT Region 4, which handles around here, they are, I've been in private business my entire, career. I've been super impressed with them and, how they address daily, weekly, monthly, issues, right? There are some big projects that on 34 is an important route and it's very, very busy. And so there's quite a bit that's going to go on there with, major roads that crisscross now where there'll be overpasses, where there's pedestrian traffic being able to be moved underneath, for safety's sake, where there's multimodal facilities going in. So there's a lot that's going on there. A little further south in Milliken, there's also, they're having a bunch of congestion problems, and they'll probably come to the table with a request for, putting in access to 25. And that's a significant undertaking. And comes in front of the commission for approval, and they have to meet all kinds of different specs. They have to be able to show safety. They have to be able to show reduced traffic. They have to, plan on greenhouse gas reduction. They have to put in multimodal facilities. So there's a lot that goes on a daily basis. Now, the public, it's great looking 10 years down the road, but you better, fix the potholes and all that stuff. So that's where, millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars go.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes. It's a $2 billion budget that CDOT has, just a little short of that. But, the vast majority of it really goes to maintenance, snow removal, that kind of stuff. Chip covering on the roads to make them last longer and stuff like that. So,
and people have to get now, and this might be out of the wheelhouse. So if it's kind of, you can just pass, but for parades and things like that, like that go along Highway 287, they've got to get CDOT involved in approval from that organization to be able to put on a parade or a street fair or anything like that closes that road for any amount of time.
Well, so don't forget that, CDOT deals with state highways and federal highways and stuff. The county, the city, deals with local traffic related things. Okay. And, if you ever want to talk about that, the people to go to are your county commissioners, probably.
Got them coming on here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, cool. And they, each county commissioner too sort of has a specialty In other words, like they divide up the workload. If it's transportation, it's probably Kristen Stevens that knows more than, maybe somebody that knows a lot about affordable housing. Not that she doesn't know something about affordable housing, but they kind of have that focus. So,
Jim, what is the, I noticed they stopped short the overpass at Mulberry and I-25. Do you have any insight into what's going on there? I know they, obviously the Prospect oversection like that, but are they going to be redoing the Mulberry and I-25 overpass?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, interesting. That's like the last one. They're all great and brand new, and you get the Mulberry and you're like, what happened? We were so close.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's money allocated, but
okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And that might have more to do with Fort Collins and annexing that section and really kind of, that might be a different conversation, but I was curious why they stopped right there.
Yeah. Bug the county commissioner.
We will.
Tell him I said so.
All righty. Well, hey, Jim, last question for you. Favorite brewery, favorite patio, real quick before you got to get going.
Oh, Lord. That's like somebody asked me for my favorite song the other day, and I ended up, I couldn't sleep because I couldn't think of really.
Well, don't lose sleep on our part. We'll give you a simple answer. New Belgium is always the go-to.
No. New Belgium had their parade here the other day, right across the street from my house. There was a 200-person dance party, and the guy from New Belgium gave me a case of 1554. So I'm going to have to go with New Belgium right now.
Hey, all right.
Well, Jim, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge.
Thanks, right. Jim.
You take care.
Guys, take care, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Friends of the podcast, thank you so much as always for tuning in. We thank you so much for your support. And just so you know, my amazing co-host Patrick Soukup over there, he is the founder, started Soukup Real Estate. If you ever need any questions about buying or selling or just want a market report on your existing home, reach out to Patrick. His team is absolutely fantastic. Born and raised in Fort Collins. His information is right there on the page. Strongly recommend reaching out.
And same for you, Chris. As if you guys are looking at buying or refinancing a home here in Northern Colorado, there's nobody better to reach out to than the Murphy Whitlock Group. And Chris Murphy is going to take incredible care of you. So do not hesitate to reach out, ask questions. He is in no rush, no hurry. So give him a chance. And I think he's going to do a great job for you. Thank you for watching.